So our job is not to try and teach them what they don't know. It's to make them aware that we have a process that is steadying them through what they don't know.
It's time to down tools for a bit. Welcome to the ToolShed, the influential podcast for anyone and everyone involved in the building industry. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey there, before we kick off, I want to share a really important thought. 71% of you who watch this channel frequently don't subscribe. So if you've enjoyed any video you've ever watched, can you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps the channel more than you think, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. So let's go. Hey there, welcome to this episode of the ToolShed podcast. In this episode, it's part 2 of my conversation with Adrian Ramsay from Adrian Ramsay Design House. He's got his own podcast, his own television show, and he's been in and around the building industry for a long, long time, and he's got a lot to share as far as the mindset that is necessary for running a successful business in the building industry. If you haven't watched part 1, I really encourage you to go back and watch part 1. There'll be a link to part 1 in the description so you can go back and get that part 1 under your belt. But in part 2, just stay tuned for some very, very powerful ideas to improve your building business, particularly from someone who does a lot of design, works with people that have money to invest in some significant building projects. And they're the type of people that you might be looking for your building business. So it would make sense to really understand the mindset of the people that you want to fill your building business with, that have the money to invest in the projects that you really enjoy doing.
One of the things that I think that, like a client doesn't know what they don't know. So our job is not to try and teach them what they don't know. It's to make them aware that we have a process that is steadying them through what they don't know. We want them to understand early on what build costs look like, what square meter rates look like, so that they've got this really good understanding. Then get a builder on site who's probably got 2 other projects or 3 other projects going, who's got real-time costs, has decent systems, can show them through spreadsheets and go, I predict this would be around this amount for this project. And then that with the designer working their way forward to bring value. My experience with people with a lot of money is it's got nothing to do with money. It's got to do with value. People with little 100%. Money is all about money, not value. They'll cut off their own foot if it means they can buy 1 less shoe. I just go. So, but you know where I'm coming from. And for the builders that listen to this, don't choose a bad customer, because that will suck the life out of you. And certainly don't choose a job on dollar value. Choose it on profit margin. A deck probably has some foundations, depending on what height it is, has some foundations, maybe some bracing if it's up high. And then it's a hands and knees job from there on kind of thing, put some bearers in and all the rest. There's not necessarily any electrician. There may be. There's no plumber. There's possibly no engineering because it's less than 1 meter high. And you're bringing massive value to a home and to living on a home, living in a home. So when you can do things like that, if you can get in there and make yourself your margin and your full margin, you'll make that margin on that. You go and tackle a $4 million job, and I'll guarantee you won't make the same margin as you make on the small one.
No, 100% agree.
And you'll be out of there in a month, maybe 6 weeks.
On to the next test project.
Yep. The big one you'll be there in 18 months.
A long moment ago, you talked about reverse engineering lifestyle, and then we moved on to something else. So you dropped that, and then we didn't touch it again. So we're getting back to what you've learned from business coaching, and you mentioned reverse engineering your lifestyle. Start there. What do you mean? How does that help the builder?
Oh, hugely. Like if you're a builder and you want to have a family and you want to do family things, or you want to travel overseas and you want that, then what kind of um, time are you going to be prepared to work? I got told off by my business coach once for saying that I didn't want to work for more than 9 months of the year, and he told me that wasn't very ambitious. So I think it's fucking ambitious.
I reckon. I agree.
Yeah.
What are we doing this for?
Yeah, exactly. And look, I don't get away with working 9 months or less than, well, I work more than 9 months of the year. The bottom line is that, are you getting what lights you up in your personal life? Because the business world will be the business world. It will be hard sometimes, it'll be easy other times, but it will always be a constant pull on you. So what are you getting for yourself that your business is affording you to have? So start by reverse engineering it. If you're going to have X number of kids, are they going to go to private school? What is that going to cost? What's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? Just start doing those things. Can I take time off? Well, I won't be able to because I don't have a supervisor on the job. So what will a supervisor cost me? What will I need for that? How much will payroll cost me? I have another business thing, which is this is me. I wouldn't say it's everybody, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily right for everybody. Run your business as lean as possible, lean and keen, and look after the people that are with you so that you can stretch them for more when you need it and give them plenty when you don't. Just look after those people so that they are there for you. They've got your back. And then on the other side of it, keep your expenses, your fixed overheads, as lean as lean as lean. And don't get all caught up in fucking 10 novated leases and stuff like that. If you think that, and wrapping every truck or whatever it is, these things are brand building exercises. They're marketing things. And if you can see a return on investment in them, and it's not so fluffy that your coach can say, well, I actually reckon that would be worth doing, then maybe invest in it. But remember, you're investing in that, and that could be profit coming to you on your bottom line, which could be giving you your lifestyle.
Yeah. Let's just go back to unpack something about what you just said there, because I absolutely loved it. That when you're investing in your team, you invest in such a way that there are times when you need more from them, and they might show up, on a weekend or really put in things like that. But when you don't need them, you can give them more. That's the bit that is often missing from the calculation, and you'll often hear, the builder complaining about, the team members and not putting in and all of that sort of stuff. But it's got to be reciprocity. There's a really dumb old metaphor that, someone talking to a wood heater, which is, it starts off on a pretty loose premise when you're talking to a wood heater, but the person is saying to the wood heater, first give me the heat, then I'll put the wood in.
The wooden.
Yeah. And that seems to me what you're talking about there is that you've got to invest in your team, and you've got to appreciate them, you've got to acknowledge them, you've got to train them, you've got to make them feel like they're part of something special. Yes. And they will want to give back, but it's quite often the opposite way, like show me and then I'll pay you sort of thing.
Everybody does the same thing that they do with, there's the big $4 million job.
Mm.
They go, well, I'm paying you this much. And what they think is that's the end of the equation. The payment's one of 100 pieces of the equation. Yeah. If you don't get some of the other major pieces right, like why the hell are they coming to work? They're coming for money. Yeah, bullshit. They could go a lot of places for money.
Yeah.
What they're coming for is the dream of what you're offering. And they need to be paid because they've got to, feed their kids or whatever. They've got a lifestyle they're trying to maintain. But they're coming because they believe in you. They're working for you because they believe in you to get them security of where they want to go. And maybe the path, and you certainly learn this in corporate, the path of advancement. They start here, and in 10 years' time, they can be here, or whatever it is. So money is a part of the equation. If you're employing people who just want money, then you're going to need training systems up the wazoo and systems that deal with customers up the wazoo to control the outflow of those people so that they don't ruin your whole system. But if you're training them to love what they do, and if you're training them to love and care about the outcome of the project, and, I go back to that first thing I said, we've got somebody's dream. If I put your dream in my hands, how would I nurture that dream? And as a boss, and this I find particularly hard personally myself, is taking the energy to nurture somebody else's dream while still looking after my own. And it takes building boundaries. It takes being a better leader. It takes actually knowing them and knowing what lights them up, knowing what gets them somewhere. I think that's probably the critical pieces around, if you're going to build a team, choose the right personalities that can mix with your personality and get a balance of not just, great guys to go to the pub with or go and play golf with or whatever. They don't need to be your friends. What they need to be is, you need to respect them and they need to respect you. And they need to be able to bring the best of themselves to work. And, you need to be able to bring the best of yourself. So it is reciprocity. You need to be able to give to them at every occasion you can, and, share the spoils as such. And it's not just money. It's everything. It's every part of it.
You mentioned flying on planes in your previous life a lot. And one of the things that they talk about is, if we're ditching, put your own oxygen mask on first before you help everyone else.
Yep.
And you were just talking about all of the things that we can do to build a better team and leadership and all that sort of stuff. But that has to be built on a foundation of looking after yourself first. In our previous conversation, before I hit the go button, we went in all sorts of places, and you've invested a shit ton of time, energy, and money into coaching. You even mentioned your ex-wife, her investment in coaching and what have you. But what have you got to say about looking after yourself first, putting the oxygen mask on before you help others?
The 5 people that you're around would be the critical one. Who are the 5 people you're around, and what are they talking to you about? And if you need to change the 5, grow up and change them. Become aspirational about who the people you mix with, not just meeting at them at their level, sort of downward, looking upward and going, how do I stretch and grow to be at that level? What would I need to bring to that person to be able to have some of their time? Definitely be coached in either multiple capacities or one capacity. And if you don't think you can afford to be coached, then start reading and
Beautiful.
Get around better. There's so much free stuff. Now, the free stuff is free. There's a reason for that. It's often a leader to either something for sale.
Yep.
And if it's not a leader for something to sale, it is somebody maybe giving, but you want to just test their information a little before you jump too deeply as well, because all too often, you hear a good idea, but ideas are in an eco-structure, and it's not one idea that makes the difference. It's how those ideas move together that make the difference. And if you can have those ideas moving together, you can create momentum. One good idea isn't going to be the thing that's going to get you there. It's going to be an ecosystem of ideas and behaviors. So change the people you're around, and you go, oh, but they're my friends. Yeah, great. Keep those ones as friends, and you guarantee you'll find new friends. You haven't even met some of your best friends in life yet, and I don't really care what age you are. You have not met those people yet. get around people that you're aspirational, so that you can, I want to say, reach up and ask them to reach down and give you a hand up. And, people who are aspirational normally will do that. Change the how you spend, and I'm going to change spend to invest your time.
Yep.
It's change. You've got 24 hours, and some of it's sleeping. Get your sleep, definitely, but then change the other so that you are getting better quality time with people who can lift you up and give you better mindset, and they're around better people. Grow yourself. That would be my biggest thing. And I'm highly pro coaching. And I think that coaching, it's not for everybody all the time. It can be a come and go, but find your person, test out your coaching, like check whether it's this or this. It's no different from going to a doctor. You might go to this doctor and you get no sense of comfort from it, but you might go to this doctor and you go, that person understood me. In a coaching situation, I really think that, it's what's the values and that person bringing, and is it aligned with what you're looking for? I think that also in a lot of coaching, there's so much personal growth, and we talked about this at the start. There's so much personal growth that you need as a human to actually get yourself on the page and finding, so then you can actually build forward. And so you've got to do the personal growth. I've got a good friend. He's an international speaker, been around for many, many years, been living with cancer for, goodness, I don't know, 20 years or something.
Wow.
He should be dead. Yeah, he should be dead. I could say his name, but you'd know him. Anyway, one day I'm at his place. I'm doing a job for him, and anyway, we're there, and he said to me something about, I said, how the hell do you do it, man? How do you live with cancer and fly off over here to speak and fly off over there to do this? And he goes, well, it's mindset. And I'm like, well, yeah, and he goes, well, I started putting deposits in my mindset bank when I was like 18 years old. I'm now 70, so I started putting deposits in he wasn't 70 then, he was in his 60s, putting deposits in my mindset bank way back, way back. And I kept putting deposits in my mindset bank. And the day that the doctor said to me, the oncologist said to me, you've got 3% chance of surviving. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Put me in the 3%. And the doctor said, you just can't do that. You can't just choose. And he said, well, maybe I beg to differ on that. And the guy said, look, I don't want to put your hopes up or anything else, but you just can't make that choice. And he said, well, I'm going to make the choice anyway. I'll be in the 3%. Thanks very much. And he said to me, his analogy was, if you put money in the bank, and go back to what I said about an emergency account, if you've got money in the bank, and this is how he said it to me, if you've got $1 million in the bank, Adrian, and a $10,000 problem comes along, is it a problem? No, you can deal with it. It's easy. If $1 million problem comes along, is that a problem? Yeah, that's a problem. And there'd be various degrees that when it becomes a real problem to you. If you've got no savings in the bank and a $10,000 problem comes along, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
And if you've got no savings in the bank and $1 million problem comes along, you're fucked. You've got no, your problem's huge.
Yeah.
So he's like, put something in the mindset bank every day.
Yeah.
Put something in your mindset bank. And look, I would say that most of you are out there, playing on social media, bloody doom scrolling or whatever. At least in your social media, put some people who put something positive in a feed every day, and make sure that you read their feed every day and take time to pause and ask, what does that mean to me in my life today? And how would that be? And if you journal, write it down, because that will inactivate a whole lot more neurological pathways, and that will feed your brain differently. You know, a drawn picture and a handwritten note activates, I think it's 9,000 neurological pathways versus a typed one's like 2. So think about what you can do for yourself really easily, and doesn't mean you can't scroll or do whatever, but put in there something that brings value, and put in multiple ones that bring value, and you'll soon see the ones that are just shit talking. You don't have the draw towards them. Yep. And that's the same as every day or every invoice that you send out, putting something in each account. Yep. But you're doing that in the mental account. Yep. And find your people, you know, find your people with coaching, you know. If you're in one coaching group and you go, oh, you know, I don't know, this doesn't feel right, well, then ask what would feel right, and then go and check, you know, something else. In the coaching world, I was going to say this earlier, I think because of the ADHD and the maybe the dyslexia, but more the ADHD, my most valuable tool in coaching is a map, because I can follow a map. And if you tell me, Adrian, you know, to get to here, you need to do this step, this step, this step, this step, and it's got that with an example against it, and I can work the example through to how that example would be in my business and check it with you as the coach, but it's a step-by-step process. And I might have to go and read books and do other things around learning as well, but if it's a step-by-step process, then I can get to the end of that and I can measure my success. And I can also see where I did a piss-ass poor job as well as where I did a brilliant job. And that shows me where my weaknesses are and where maybe I either need to dedicate more time or have somebody else help me. Like, you know, can't rule the world on your own. So that gives me that map that I can visually see. It's just like Google and saying, I want, you know, to stop in these 4 places. You can do that with a map. And I think that in a lot of coaching, there are business maps, but a lot of times people don't get that map tuned to their business so that they can follow it. They don't look at the assets of their business and go, okay, well, I've already got, you know, $100 asset there. And I would say that 100's the best value asset you could have. I've got $100 value asset there. I've got $100 value asset there. Oh shit, that's a $2 one. Fuck, I need to get $98 into that piece. You know, how can you look at where your weaknesses are? And you don't need to necessarily build your weaknesses. What you need to do is find somebody who can cover them off or can help you with them as well. And that's where coaching, you can't get perspective for yourself. That's just, you cannot look at yourself and get perspective, because at some point you'll think you're a genius and you're
not. Oh, so I should stop doing that. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, well, yeah, probably.
So shameless plug time. You have, we're obviously going to put the link into Adrian Ramsay Design House in the show notes, but you also have podcasts called Talk Design Podcast. If you're in Queensland, you can see Dream Homes Revealed, is it?
Dream Homes Revealed.
9?
You can see it on 9 Now or 9 Life. It's on when it's on. It's a seasonal thing. So I'm the host of Dream Homes Revealed for Queensland. Yep. So there's another pretty girl that will be a host in every other state. I'm just not the pretty girl. As much as I might have tried, I'm not going to ever get there. That TV show, and it runs 1 or 2 seasons a year. So I'm in my 3rd season of that. And then probably the only other shameless plug that I'd love to add is
Dream Homes Unlocked.
Yes, Dream Homes Unlocked. So through my 24 years of designing houses for other people, I've designed lots of renovations, lots of new homes. I've always worked just with custom. I've never worked with project homes. I've worked with project home builders and created models for them and stuff, but I always primarily just work with custom homes. And as you kind of start to value your time more, I go, look, I don't have time for more than 4 clients a year. And that means really there's 6 kind of hanging around over a year, because some are coming, some are going, so there's always a crossover. And I don't have time for more than that. So then I've got to reverse engineer my time backwards from there to how much I have to charge for each one. And in charging for each one, it means that the projects, I don't really take projects that are under $1.5 million, and I try not to take projects over 5 million. And that's just my preference of the kind of projects I like. That's what I like. But I currently have projects in New Zealand, England, Victoria, Queensland, and New South Wales. And New Zealand. Did I say New Zealand?
You said New Zealand twice, but I can tell you why.
There's only one there because I'm a Kiwi.
Yeah.
But when you look at that, I go, that's part of me building up my lifestyle. And I went in it. I get people who contact me, and they've maybe got 700,000 to spend or 900,000 to spend, and I go, they don't have the project budget for my fees as well as everything on top of that. Yeah. So I decided with actually a friend of mine from England, he's done the same thing in England. I decided to create a one-to-few coaching course where myself and some of my people from around the world and around Australia, I'll call them in as guest coaches on certain subjects. We will be, I say we, it's mainly me, in March launching Dream Homes Unlocked, and we'll be taking small groups of people through everything to draw their own home. And people go, oh shit, I've got to draw it. Graph paper's a wonderful thing and a pencil's a wonderful thing. You don't need to be Picasso to draw this. And we will make sure of that. But what we want to do is take you through the process that I've developed over, I developed it probably over about 5 or 6 years, and I've refined it over 15 to 20 years. Of getting houses built. My record's about 95% of drawings are built, and stepping those people through and using my land whispering process, my dream magic process, and then also my emotional floor plan process to unlock their dreams, to get them into a budget, and then to get them confident enough to get pencil on paper and draw those first ideas, knowing that they have to watch out for these things, and getting the best out of the site, the best out of the regulations, because we don't want to spend money fighting regulations, and stepping it through, and then finding the right consultants, and then also early on in that process, partnering with the right builder so that they are going to get to the end of the process with something built, and that will be their dream home. So I'm going to start that in March. I was going to start it in February, and I've got sort of a list of people who are very keen to be involved in that from the client side. And then I've also got a couple of my other friends who are TV hosts who are specialists in certain areas. And then I have a huge global network of architects and designers who are going, hey, we'd love to be able to drop in to a module there and give some knowledge to people and, inspire them in a way that otherwise they might not have been inspired. So that's going to be kicking off in March.
That sounds fantastic. We'll endeavour to check back with you in March, or aftermath to see how that's going and kicked off. But I just wanted to say thanks for putting the time aside to having a chat. It's fascinating. It's the second time that we've had you on the podcast. I'm sure it won't be the last. I always enjoy my conversations with you. I appreciate your irreverence to certain things. It resonates with me, so I appreciate that. So thanks again, and all the best, and we'll see you on the podcast again in the future.
Absolutely, Mick, and thank you so much. I really appreciate what you do and how you make business for builders and beyond that, business for families, business lives for people better in this industry. I think it's, as you said to me right before we recorded, you're about shifting this industry to be a better industry for the people that are in it. And I so appreciate that, because it needs to happen. It needs champions, and it needs people who stand up and can be irreverent to do it.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Adrian Ramsay. That was part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, as I said, there's a link in the description. Go back and listen to that conversation. He had so many cool things to share with us. And if you haven't watched part 1, you are missing out on some really cool ideas. So that is it for this episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope it stimulated your thought process and started to get you to think, maybe I need to be doing things a little bit different, making some investments in my war chest, things like that, things that we spoke about, and looking for how you can begin to change how you think about your building business. And that's the purpose of this podcast. And we'll be back with another episode of this podcast. Before you know it, please keep your eyes out for it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Look for the notifications so you can be notified when another episode comes online that you can watch. So I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. Bye for now. I'm out.
You've been listening to the ToolShed. If this podcast struck a chord with you, make sure you spread the word by sharing it with your mates in the building industry. We love your help to make the building industry better for everyone involved.